Welcome back. So this time, I just recorded a video yesterday. Then the goal was just to attack, but I wasn't getting very many attacking positions, which is unfortunate. So I decided this time I'm just going to try some new, more dubious, maybe interesting openings. I haven't prepared for this really, but if we want to be aggressive, I don't think we can really get by playing such a passive defensive way. So let's get into it. The goal is to sacrifice at least a pawn. So let's see. I don't really know what to do here. We'll start by mirroring, I guess. You can see actually my rating's a little bit higher than last video. And this is a gambit, but not for me. Alrighty, this isn't necessarily going the best as far as gambiting goes. I'm just being attacked immediately. Interesting. I've seen this sacrifice before, but not quite in this way. Now if they want. Wow, okay. Well, this is fun. Not what I had planned, but still fun. So let's move this out here. This does mean... No. That... I kind of want to start by going here, attacking the queen. Then we'll figure it out. The goal is to get my king up, rook over, king back. Now, if I move my queen here and the king up, then I get forked. Let's move all the way up here, defending this. Wow, this is not going very well for being an attacking game, but there are sacrifices, so in that regard, I'm succeeding. I do think this could be a little bit dubious by the opponent. Wait, when did I win a piece? Oh, right, goodness, they sacrificed it. Let's not give it back. Let's pay attention. I'm going to, I suppose, move the bishop back. And if they push again, then things get iffy. At that point, I'd be very tempted to counter-sacrifice. Alrighty, I'm looking at this move right here, because it forks the king and queen, but it's defended a couple times. I guess, actually, let's see, I could do this. Then bishop can't do this, queen has to move. Then knight takes, bishop takes. Nothing. Okay, so let's do this. Knight could not move here. Alright. This is now attacked multiple times. I can actually defend this because this rook, that knight is not under attack at all now. So I don't think this has been immensely successful for my opponent. And they did that opening so quickly too. Most of their opening moves were in under a second. So now, yeah, I'm struggling to actually see a plan for the opponent. No. So my plan is just, I think, to move the rook actually over to the E file, and we'll get the other one on the F file. And then all the rooks will be staring at each other through a couple of pieces. But for now, opponent just thinks. So now we'll move this rook over. We don't have to move the king back immediately. So now we have this knight. So what? Takes, takes, takes. Would be interesting. Takes, takes, takes. Would be interesting. We also don't have to take it all. But let's take it. Double the pawns. And now what? If we take the bishop, they take the queen, we take the queen, we've won a piece. If we... But I take the bishop, queen takes. Then what? Then I take the pawn? The knight's still a little bit useless. There are no checks, I didn't say that, but... I didn't look too thoroughly, but I did scan briefly. And it's okay for me, even though it's not in the attacking or sacrificing spirit. It's okay for me to trade down for obvious reasons. Now I will take the pawn. I want to get this bishop back in the game. I could move it here, but now I could not. Can't sacrifice a bishop for nothing. So we'll move it back. Now we're targeting this pawn. Rook is targeting that. Hi. I suppose we will defend it. Now I want to move up the rook and just... Okay, so I can take if I want. What's the idea here? Well, let's start with this. Oh, it's check. Oh my goodness. I'm such a dunce. And then I almost just moved my queen. That'd be even more ridiculous. I sort of tend to have a defeatist attitude where if I see something that looks bad, I don't look for ways to refute it. I just assume I did something terribly wrong. And in this case, I just blundered an exchange. So that's not that bad, considering where I'm at. For a brief moment, I'm up 9 points of material. And really, the exchange gets given right back. As long as there's no terrible checks. There's this, but that's not terrible. I could even block with the queen. And then the queen actually doesn't have a lot of squares here, so I can kick it out. And I will block here. Wait. No, that was stupid. That was bad because... No, it was fine. I'm being very... I don't know if I'm at my peak performance right now. But we will continue on regardless. Whether the king moves here or here, I can check here. and win the rook because the rook is preventing the king from moving further over. But the king could move also here, so I couldn't pre-move it. So now I'll do this. And now actually, I won't take the rook because this is checkmate. So, sacrifices for sure, but not the ones I expected. And not for me. Let's move on. Alright, e4. Oh. This is not going well. Alright, that's interesting. But I don't want to... If I'm going to sacrifice, I need to actually get something from it. I want activity. Now I can at least kick the queen away. On the next move. Interesting. I could do this anyway, but then takes with check, takes, queen takes. That's not a sacrifice. That's a blunder. So then let's defend this pawn. Accept the damage structure. Should the opponent want to do so, and then we can move things out like this. So now we threaten the queen. We could threaten it again. Let's do this. Now we can threaten the queen again. For a mild gain of time. Or just messing up structure a little bit. So we'll take. Knight takes, interesting. Well, in that case, we will trade. Let's move back. Interesting. Now this here we could sacrifice, but I don't think it works. The queen has no infiltration. So we just end up, we have two pawns, but the king could still go queenside and, but now actually, let's check. We may have had that move last move as well. I didn't notice. This forces the king to at least not, to move out of the, or to stay in the center. And now maybe it's more reasonable to do this. If the rook threatens both, we cannot defend though. We can defend this way. I still don't think it's worth it. Instead, let's go around this way. Opponent defends against that, but is making a lot of holes in their position, for my estimation. Moving the queen up. Now let's, we can push. If they push, then their bishop is stuck. That's not like huge, but it's something. Let's do this first. I am moving a little bit quickly, perhaps. Knight moves back to threaten the bishop, and it also defends this pawn. If we want to, we can go here now, because the opponent can't take, but also we can't take, because that also the bishop is defended. Let's go here. If we go here, knight takes, then what was the point? Let's go here. Setting up this. Opponent can take. Instead threatens the bishop a second time. Well, let's see. I was looking at this, but then I didn't do anything about it. Now we are forced to give up an exchange. But it might not be the end of the world. We are threatening this rook. It's now probably a little bit harder for the king to get to safety. And now let's try to do some damage. I want to push this here at the right time. It gives up a pawn, but it really opens things up. The rook is in line with the queen, and it's not very active, so first let's move it in line with the king. We are now down material. It's sort of like a sacrifice. This pawn is being only defended by the knight. These pawns, if I had a light square bishop, that would be lovely. I did think about moving my queen here, then taking with the bishop, but I don't think it leads anywhere. Especially because the queen is on the 7th rank, defending very well. So opponent pushes, threatening to trap the bishop. I guess this time we should actually acknowledge the threat, because we didn't last time. Unless we want to go here, push, take, take with check. Even the queen could block and then whatever. So we'll start by being prudent. Interesting. The opponent wants to open up this line. Let's see. I don't think we have to. But then again, if we move here, then that's nothing. We can move back and then take, but let's just take. Now, where do we want to move the knight? Let's start by moving the knight here. Now, if the queen and rook line up, there's nothing, actually. Because the knight is defended twice. And it'll be a little bit hard to get a third attacker. So, we've been gifted a free pawn. Let's take it. We can't do this or anything because it just loses material. We could still push here eventually. Originally, I didn't want to do that because it, it blocks in the bishop. But if we push, no, I was thinking I want to get the rook here, but obviously that wouldn't work. Though we might have to go slower. If we push here, takes, and I can just take. If the opponent pushes, then I can move the rook over and get it over this way. The chance the opponent takes is very low. Oh, but the opponent can't take or push because they just moved their king. I'm a little bit silly for not noticing that. But that is quite convenient for me. The king moves. Let's take. Knight takes. Understandably. But also perhaps incorrectly, because now I can check. Regardless of, I mean, I don't know. I forgot that it was defended. My goodness. Now opponent does need to figure out how to respond. King moves back. Now we could move here, hitting the knight to the king. And then, assuming the opponent doesn't like attack, then we could pin it. Or it is pinned, then we could attempt to win it. And moreover, we're working on eventually getting the knight, the rook around to here. The opponent doesn't do anything having to do with that. Just expands. Now, just now, I realize it would have been bad for me to move up if the rook was still there, because queen could check. Knight could block, but then rook could take. I guess it would have been weird. If we move the bishop here, I don't think the queen can remain defending the knight. So let's do that. Now we're threatening to take. My goodness, I like hit a wall all of a sudden. All right, let's keep going. So the queen can't move here or here or here or here or here or here. The queen can move here. Oh, the queen also can't move here. The queen can move to any of these spaces, but none of those spaces defend the knight. So that's pretty good, I think. So now the question is, how does the opponent respond? How did this game really go? Keeping track of the... Oh, there we go. Ooh, I did not see this. I did not see this at all. I thought the opponent couldn't go there because I would take with my queen. Which, so now instead of winning a piece, I just win an exchange. And now material's actually even. Or I'm up a pawn. Now I'm thinking I can trade here. Then we have this weird 3-on-4. But also, more importantly, 2 passed pawns. So I think most important is that I just get myself to a good position. Now where do I want to put this knight? Here would be fine. Here would be better, but that would be very difficult to reach. Alright, let's start moving it around. I also need to watch out for checks. Opponent has this one check here. It actually forces me to move back. but that's fine. Alright, I'll take. Opponent takes with the knight with check. I'll move here. Ooh, and that's a fork. But I want to go here. No, because here the opponent can take here. If I go here, 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 opponent just goes back. I want to trap this knight somehow. Well, I definitely shouldn't go here because that's a check. Let's go here. Opponent takes that one. And let's just start with this. I should have calculated this. But at this point I didn't, so. Alright. Let's go here. So that king takes. I could defend. Interesting. Opponent doesn't seem interested in taking the pawn, at least not quite yet. I guess the idea is to get the knight around to a point where they can defend against that. Oh, or just... My goodness. Well, now I've wasted everything. I know I'm quite poor at these end games, but my goodness. And the fault of that, of course, is just that I didn't calculate. Now hopefully I can at least get a draw. So I'm going to go here. Point is that if takes, I can take this pawn. The opponent goes here. Still if takes. Alright. Still. There we go. Now wherever the opponent moves, I will take this pawn. And my knight's even defended, but that's a draw. Okay, so that one wasn't so great. I guess let's do one more. I want to get like a proper fun opening. But it also might not be very wise for me to continue playing, seeing as how I've been playing. That's okay. Let's play this. It's Petrov's defense. But opponent doesn't even take the pawn. Take the pawn. Opponent still doesn't take the pawn. Maybe they will now that this pawn is defended a couple times. There we go. Let's do this. Knight doesn't have to move. But that is an interesting move for sure. Okay. Now that threatens my rook. I could just move it back. I could also... I couldn't do that. I could take, but that'd be silly. I think I'm just going to move it back. Alright. This is gonna get weird. First of all, this is not a threat because the rook is pinning the pawn. So now instead we just have sort of a blown open board. This is gonna be checkmate. So I think probably what we want to do is go here, takes, go here, and start moving the king with expediency. Ooh. Yeah, I don't know why I did that. That was very silly. Once again, not calculating. Now opponent does have 3 pawns for the piece. Maybe they'll go for a draw. That'd be funny. No. So now, let's see. I can go here. What's the idea? This doesn't change anything. I'm gonna go here. Now if queen checks, I can scoot over here. But instead we get a check like this. I'll still scoot over here. If queen checks from this direction. Nope. So now, can I go here? There are almost no checks. And I'll try to sneak the king in over here. This is pretty funky. Yep. So now I'm gonna push. An opponent is officially out of checks. Except for taking. It's not very good. Now the bishop is actually pinned. And I'm not threatening to take it with the pawn, of course. But interesting. So now I'm getting like really low on development. I still almost definitely should take the bishop though. And then we really have to work on getting some pieces out. Let's see, we could move the bishop here, just defend everything. Puts the rook in a weird spot, but because the opponent doesn't have any minor pieces left, not a huge deal. Okay, we are just going to move this pawn up, like I said, and then tuck the king away. Ah, but I see. No, I don't. I was going to say this stops the king from defending, but the king doesn't need to defend. There's only one attacker on the bishop. Now there are 2 attackers on the bishop. And it's not exceedingly simple to defend. Let's move this here. If pawn pushes, then I guess I'd have to move the king up. That's not fun. But it is silly. But now I can threaten the queen. Oh, pawn takes. My goodness. Once again, I probably was not paying enough attention. I was going to say this is especially bad because the queen can take this and now there's a pawn close to promotion. But luckily that didn't happen. And now we can put some extra pressure on this pawn while developing. We'll move this rook out. Now once we move the knight out of the way, we can take. We can also take here. If rook takes, queen takes, check. And yeah. I'd rather have the extra piece than the extra pawns. Ah. Another move I didn't see. So this is definitely going to be my last game. Because I'm just not seeing anything. Also, what was I just calculating? If rook takes its own pawn, was I really calculating that? No, I wasn't. And I'm not sure what I was calculating. I don't know. My goodness. Well, no. I don't wonder why they traded queens. Seeing as I'm up 2 pawns. It is strange. Or I'm up I'm up 2 points. So I guess I'm just up a piece for a pawn. It seems like more than that. Now I can get out of this pin because my opponent just broke the pin. And now I'm putting myself into another pin, but it's not a very dangerous one because again, opponent only has major pieces. But I don't think this will be trivial to win. Because of where my rook's sitting, it's actually not easy for opponent to defend this pawn. Or, yeah, opponent can now push that pawn. Let's move. I just want to move the king here and take with the rook. But actually, maybe I should move the rook or the king back. Just making it so the opponent can't really push this pawn. Okay. I'm okay with that trade. Takes. Now I'm threatening this pawn. Now let's think. I can check. Let's threaten this pawn. It's a little bit dangerous because like if a rook went over here and down here, all of a sudden I would be checkmated. No, I'm really being... I want to sacrifice this. Takes. But it's not good. But then again, the opponent can't easily push this. Maybe I just start pushing my own pawn. It'd be nice to get the knight all the way around, but that takes 3 moves. There we go. Rook moves over, threatening checkmate. How do I want to defend it? I think like this. Now move the king over. Although now, yeah. Although, here, 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 here. Wait. King over, rook up, king over. Rook takes, king takes. I'm not fast enough. So then I guess I have to. Did I just lose the piece? I may have. Uh, Goodness. Let's do this. Oh, rook could go down here and take the pawn. I thought there was nothing I could do about it. That was a weird move. This has not been a very accurate game of chess, I don't think. Now rook does that. But I can just, like, I don't get it. And now I'm just 2 pawns up. Gonna put the rook here. Can defend like this, I think, but I'm not going to. Once again, I'm not calculating. This is my issue. Now king can move here. I wanted to move the king here and to start moving this one up. I think I'll do this. Obviously, if I could just, like, if I push the pawn, then the pawn doesn't get one, but okay. Okay, well, this has not been very good, but thank you for watching. I hope you've enjoyed the video and all that. We'll do the whole thing. We do that. Then we build the bridge, as I call it. And the opponent might resign or might do something tricky. I didn't even see that. But ratings going up. We're almost, I mean, we're going to pass 1650. It's really nice. So, yeah. Once this game is over. Oh, and abandoned. That's fun. Well, that's it. This doesn't maybe make for very interesting content. And really, I should be doing schoolwork because it's due in less than 2 hours and I haven't gotten any of it done. But that's it. I guess see you in the next video, but that's not likely.